Scott Lagasse, one of the few drivers in the field that already has his college degree. He was able to grab that from Flagler College. They welcomed him back last Tuesday, supporting Scott Lagasse, as Scott has not only signed autographs but given them a commitment that he's going to give back to the school. And we've got problems. Justin Allgaier getting around as he was trying to avoid the 7 of A.J. Henriksen. Henriksen was running in the 3rd position. We see Dexter Bean in the 6th, and now the melee taking place behind all of that.
There's a 75 right there. Billy Tanner around. There's a lot of damage to A.J. Henriksen's car. That's a team car to Bobby Gerhardt's right there, the Eagle warranty car. We saw him moving around in the car, it looked like, Kenny, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, but still, I'm going to be curious to see replay and footage of the way that car's bent. Is a little bit unusual, so that must have been quite the wreck.
You wouldn't normally see that hitting the wall like that, would you?
No,
it
sir.
looks like another car may have hit them.
There's Norm Bennings, number 84. Obviously a lot of damage to the back of his Chevrolet.
There's Dexter Bean. More damage to the back of that car also. We see the 61. He's got some damage on the right side of that car, getting some right side tires.
Yeah, he's been up against the wall, it looks like, Kenny.
Yes, most definitely. I was worried about his brakes. He just overshot the pits a little bit, but
also making a chassis adjustment to that. Let's take another look at what took place on our first caution here.
Looked like Mario Goslin got in the back of A.J. Henriksen. And then there's the 22. It looked like a Josh Wise going around. Somebody ran in the back of him.
But the damage wasn't done to the 7 until I believe later, because right here Mario Goslin just spins him around. Mario goes spinning around, but I think there was some contact later on here.
Yeah, that wasn't damage. He's got to get hit another time in the right front area.
Yeah, he still hasn't been hit yet. It looked like he got a little bit loose, Kenny, didn't it? Because it looked like he may have gotten out of the throttle a little bit when Mario ran in the back of him.
It looked like he got a little bit loose. It's just it's one of those things you hate to say it, but
that was the contact right there.
Yeah.
It's the 85 right there.
Greg Barnhart. I believe this is the 11.
See the smoke
Ryan
up ahead.
Silas.
Good job by Brian Silas right there. Heads up there. He backed off the throttle. When he saw he was clear, he got back in the throttle to go ahead and get out of the way. You get run into from behind so many times in an accident like that, don't you, Kenny?
Once he knew that he had the front of his car safe, he gassed her up to give everyone else more room to get slowed down.
That's Greg Barnhart's car, the 85 Ford Fusion, that has so much damage to the front end of that, as we see cars making their way down pit road now to have service done. And again, we've only completed 13 laps. We're on the 14th of 80 laps here for the ARCA Remax 200.
Most of the leaders stayed on the racetrack. These are cars that were running about 20th on back.
We'll skip away for just a few minutes. Bobby Gerhart out in front of the field. We'll tell you how it all shakes out when we come back. The second pack here, led by the 61 of Stephen Wallace, and just behind him, that 14 of Michael Falk. And then it's the 22, that new Toyota Camry, running in the ARCA Remax Series, Josh Wise.
That's a familiar car right there, Kenny, that 52 Dodge Charger.
Right, I was hoping he didn't run into the back of Stephen, because there's no way we could cover for him there.
Yeah, when you're on a camera like that, we can't do anything for you.
Well, this is an interesting track position right here.
This is a bit of a wad here.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a wad. Stephen's wanting to go. I was hoping he wasn't going to put that 51 car in the middle right now. But
Brian Silas, as we look over to trouble. There's Stephen Wallace spinning around, gets caught in the front end, continues to spin.
Looks like Billy Venturini possibly came along and clipped him.
Second caution of the day comes out. Stephen Wallace getting turned around going through the tri-oval.
I think this is that situation, Kenny, where you might as well not plan much on having anything to race at Talladega. Huh? It was Billy Venturini. Tough break for Billy. We saw him slow early in the race, and that's what put him basically at the back of the pack. And unfortunately, a lot of damage to that 25 car.
He'll try to make it around and get back into the pits where his father, Bill Venturini Sr., go to work on it. Stephen Wallace not happy at all as he gets out of his car.
you know, the Venturini family, not a big budget operation, but have really run extremely good on all the restrictor plate races. They put a lot of effort in. They run good every place, but they've really excelled the last couple of years.
Billy Venturini will bring that car down pit road, see if Father Bill Venturini Sr. can work any magic and get him back out onto the racetrack. We'll come back. Bobby Gerhart still leads the field. At Daytona International Speedway, we ride along with the number 11 of Brian Silas. A lot of damage to the right front of that car. We'll find out how that damage actually took place.
He may have caught a piece of that accident with Stephen Wallace. Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened to cause that accident with Stephen. See, Stephen's on the outside in the 61 car. Goes right up to, he just gets loose up there.
Boy, it kind of looked like he might have cut a tire or something.
Yeah, you don't really get loose in that part of the racetrack, but it's a pretty hard contact for Steve Wallace.
Billy Venturini then clipping him in that number 25, and we saw the 11 was in front of that. I believe that was just a right front tire that had exploded.
See, he's waving. Yeah, he's waving the guy around.
He knew he had some sort of a problem. He was waving at that 14 car behind him. I think he knew he had a flat tire and he was trying to get out of the way.
I think he had a left rear flat.
Yeah, you see the rubber already came off the tire and was rolling down the racetrack.
Yeah, he's out of the way up high.
He was doing everything textbook. He just didn't have enough tire quite far enough around through the trial to get him through there.
He's Justin South's onboard right here. You see Josh Wise, the 22. There's the 14 who's going to get clipped by the 61 of Steve Wallace, and that turns Steve right back into the outside wall.
That accident taking place just as they went across the start-finish line. Now we look at the damage from the 11.
Just riding along and blows a right front tire out. Obviously probably ran over some debris from the accident with Steve Wallace, but watch the damage you're going to see. All that damage came from cutting a tire down and that rubber thrashing about. It looks like a major super speedway crash, and all it was a flat tire.
All it was a flat tire.
Yeah.
At about 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, which is amazing that it didn't happen when he's going 185 miles an hour going into one. You had mentioned that was one of the most scary things you've done as a driver.
Oh yeah, blowing a right front tire going into the corner is no fun, but fortunately for Brian, that was again at caution speed at about 70 miles an hour, but you can see the damage it did just from the tire rubber hitting the bodywork.
The line, it looks as though, is going to go by Mark Mitchell in that number 93.
You know, look back in the fourth spot, that blue car. That's Damon Lusk. He's got a top 5 finish here at Daytona, and he's been up in the top 10 from the time we dropped the green flag. He's doing a great job.
Damon Lusk, another one of those drivers looking to find sponsorship to continue throughout the season. He's got 2 wins in this series. Oh, and we got problems with the number 14.
Michael Falk, the 14. Oh, trouble. There's Josh Wise, the 22.
More cars involved. They're coming off the racetrack.
The 24 right there, Benny Chastain. There's Justin South right there. The 8 of Brian Kahns was involved in that.
That got messy.
Messy in a hurry.
That's what we like to see, those window nets coming down.
Yeah, there's Benny Chastain right there in the 24 car. There's a Toyota of Josh Wise, Eddie Sharp Racing, along with Michael Waltrip Racing.
One of the spotters had mentioned just before this accident they thought there was smoke coming out of one of the cars, possibly the number 4 of Scott Lagasse. Justin South trying to get back down onto pit road, probably take that behind the wall. A lot of damage to that car. He tries to get straight back out. Let's take one more look. This is going to be an actual time.
It's Justin South right here. We're on board his car. See him back off a little bit. The car looks like that was the 14 into the wall, and there's a 22 sideways in the middle of the racetrack. Josh Wise, Justin South had nowhere to go, ran into the back of the 62 of Chad McCumbee.
Engine off. silence as you come to a stop there in the grass.
Looked like the 14 car got loose and got into the wall. Then the 22 kind of jerked his wheel left, Kenny, to try to avoid that. When he did, looked like he lost control.
Right.
Some pretty hard hits there on the outside wall with the 24 of Vinny Chastain and the 8 of Brian Kahns.
Take another peek at this one.
14 car already in the outside wall, and the 22 of Josh Wise sideways in the middle of the racetrack. The 72 car looked like he had avoided it, just got caught. J.R. Hefner.
He did everything he could do. He just quite ran out of room, but he was going the right directions.
A lot of debris strewn across the racetrack and on the apron. Be a lot of cleanup that's going to take place after this. The third caution in the ARCA 200.
There's the number 2 right there of Michael McDowell. We started to mention a few moments ago that he will run all the races this year. That's great to see that competitive a car, and going to try to squeeze Frank Kimmel a little bit. Remember, for those of you that watch the Next Up Cup races and see the out of bounds line, we never had that before in the ARCA series, but we do now. The yellow line is out of bounds. If you make a pass below the yellow line, you will lose that spot, and they will actually bring you in unless you get that spot back immediately on the racetrack.
And that's a good rule, because you can pass someone down there, but if they elect to keep you down there until you get to the turn, then you got a problem.
It's a little flatter.
You can't enter that there on the turn, so it's just a good rule.
See, Bill Baird's got a little bit of flapping on the right rear there as he tucks in behind the 46 of Frank Kimmel. Oh, up the wall. Looks like a cut right front tire.
Yes, it did.
The 94 of Brad Coleman gets into the wall hard.
Yeah, that car just shot straight across the racetrack. Very, very fortunate that nobody else is involved. And the very tail end of the field now was going by on the inside. So this will be a one-car accident, but obviously a broken suspension or a flat right front tire for Brad Coleman. What a great record he has in ARCA. He's already got a win. He won in Kentucky. 7 top 5s out of 8 starts for Brad Coleman. And what is he, 18 years old?
Yeah, just a young kid that was found on a go-kart track, and they said, hey, you've got some talent. Let's put you into a couple cars bigger. And next thing you know, he's running very competitively in the ARCA Remax Series. We look back at what just took place.
He's down on the inside. Life is good. And then it'll take off here in just a second, and there's nothing he can do right there.
Just goes straight across the racetrack. Absolutely nothing he could do. When that thing took off to the right, he turned the wheel as hard as he could to the left, and doesn't make any difference. It just keeps on going.
Right.
Well, the impact there, obviously, a little bit of the absorption had to go away because of that safer barrier. Your glance is off of that. Yeah,
it definitely, you know, we're told that the safer barrier reduces the impact by about a third. But you're still running 180 mile an hour.
Right.
That's still a pretty hard hit right there. He's going to feel that. But fortunately, with all the safety innovations of recently, you see him right now. Good view of Brad getting out of the car. That these accidents and these hits are a lot less than they used to be, aren't they, Kenny?
Oh, it's unbelievable. The gains that we've made in safety in the last 10 years.
Side by side to the lead, you see the 12 of Mario Gosselin get a little bit loose. Then he slid up the hill, tried to keep his car off of the 5 of Bobby Gerhart. Watch this. You see him get loose. Bobby gives him plenty of room. Just fighting for control. Gets into the outside wall. Keeps it up there. Tough break for Mario Gosselin.
Tough break. He just plain got loose when Bobby was on the outside of him, but did a good job of keeping that thing a single car incident and keeping his car up against the wall.
Jason Edleski in the 08.
Yeah, this is it right here. This is just, he's going to get a little bit loose there. Watch him. And then Bobby gives him plenty of room. But unfortunately, Mario loses control. The 93 of Mark Mitchell does a great job of getting by him. Another view right here. This is Tim Russell's onboard camera. There's Frank Kimmel, the 46 on the outside. See, Tim Russell's going to be forced down, but that's okay. You can go down below the yellow line, obviously, to avoid any kind of an incident like that.
And the speeds are back down to 60 miles an hour as the caution has come back out at Daytona International Speedway. It's Bobby Gerhart still out in front of the field as we've gone to just 10 laps of racing remaining in this one. And well, Gerhart wants to maybe race the pace car a little bit. He's got a lot of success here, though. He wants to continue to make history, looking for his 5th win at Daytona in the ARCA Series. The reason why we're under our most recent caution, which is the 6th caution of the night, is the 11 of Brian Silas. A lot of damage to that car prior to this most recent caution, but Brian Silas got turned around and had some problems. It looks like the right front tire down on that already.
Yeah, the sway bar arm is dragging the racetrack. That's where all the sparks are coming from. There's a crush panel that there's an aluminum panel or a steel panel that goes between that roll bar and the outside body to keep that stuff from flying in the car. But obviously when you bend the side like that, it crushes that panel, and that allows all this debris and sparks and everything to get inside the car. And it's not a good thing.
I can almost smell the smoke.
That's
really such a good shot right there, isn't it?
Tremendous shot.
Oh, look at the sparks continue to flying off of that as they're trying to get that car off of the racetrack. Obviously, the longer he's out there, even on the apron, the more debris that gets strewn across this racetrack.
Now,
let's take a look at how it happened.
That's him in the 11 car right there, right behind 34. He gets a little bit loose, drives down off the racetrack, and normally here you go back up the racetrack, and he did make some contact with the outside wall. And fortunately, only one car involved in this accident, so some good heads-up driving by that car right behind him.
It's Brian Silas in the 11 that was involved in this accident. Went back up the racetrack, then back down, and was able to stop it. We're on board with Brian.
That doesn't sound all that great either.
And that was one car. He didn't get hit by anybody. That was one car.